There must be some kind of way out of here, said the joker to the thief. There's too much confusion, how can I get no relief? Begging men, they drink my wine, and plowmen dig my herbs, but none of them along the line, no one any of his world. Hey, how you doing? Good afternoon. You're on the Robert Jeter Show, Blues in the News, coming to you live from Atlanta, Georgia, off the cuff, unedited, just giving you my 3 cents, telling you all about it. So, a lot going on still, every day. That's why I'm on here. Not every day, but almost every day. You know, I try to do as many as I can. I mean, I have another job. You know, this is not my real job, but I enjoy doing this. It's like maybe a way I'm writing my diary. Not really my diary, but a history of what's going on in the world during this period. Maybe it's a record for somebody in the future. Who knows, you know. Somebody's going to look back and say, what the hell went wrong those days? Well, maybe if you listen to my podcast, you'll find out, huh? I'm talking to the future generations. But no, I'm talking to you, too. I'm talking to anybody that's listening, to tell you the truth. But there's a lot going on in the world, and it has a lot of undercurrents. You know, it should be obvious, you know, what is good and what is bad, what is righteous and what is unrighteous. But it's all messed up today. The media has messed it up. The progressives have messed it up. The New World Order people have messed it up. The Green New Deal people have messed it up. You know, all those interest groups and powers and influences that are against the Judeo-Christian, you know, traditions, who are against basically Western civilization as we have it today. I mean, Western civilization came up through a lot of toil, a lot of conflict, a lot of wars. But with the United States of America being created in 1776, it was divine intervention, basically, to have the Constitution written the way it was, the Bill of Rights, all our freedoms, a republic, not a true democracy, but a republic where people are represented, so supposedly represented by their elected officials. And then we had free market capitalism come along, and things opened up. People became wealthy, more or less. The middle class prospered. And during the best of times, you know, there was no wars, there was no trouble. Everybody was more or less making ends meet, living well, you know, and they believed in God, more or less. They believed in mum, apple pie, and red, white, and blue. And everything was hunky-dory. So what went wrong? Where would we go wrong? Well, I might have had this discussion one time before where I sort of map it out, starting from the end of the Second World War. I mean, I can see that far. I mean, I was around a little after the Second World War, so I can relate to what happened, because in the 50s and the 60s, things were really well in the country. I mean, we had our issues, of course, but we were victorious. We had beat the bad guys, the very mean bad guys, evil bad guys, the Nazis. And in Germany, you know, joined with Japan, the axis of evil, and we defeated Nazism. And we saved Europe, more or less. The United States, more or less, saved Europe. And then after the war, we gave them the Marshall Plan, which helped them rebuild. But there was several forces at play. The American, which represented democracy, a republic, But a lot of the forces in Europe against Nazism and the extreme right were on the left, were the socialists and the communists. So they became influential in Europe because they felt like they had helped defeat Nazism. So that's why socialism is still strong in Europe, because they never. I mean, I guess they have republics in France and parliamentary society in England, which are more or less free societies. But socialism is still very, very popular in Europe, even though everything's going on. I mean, recently, it was just the other day that there were elections, EU elections for parliament in Europe, and surprisingly, the right gained a lot of seats, and the left were shocked by this, but it's because it's gone too far, and people are anxious, people are afraid with all these immigration and all these people coming from who knows where. A lot of Muslims who are hateful, don't want to assimilate in society, and just want to stab you and kill you if you don't convert to their way of thinking. So Europe's a big problem. But yet, elections are coming up in England, for example, and I think it's July the 4th they have an election, and it seems like Labour is going to win. So why, because it's entrenched. A lot of people are just entrenched with that way of thinking. They can't get away from drinking the Kool-Aid. That, I want to be protected. I want the government to provide my health care. I want the government to, take over me, look after me when I need them, and so they become more like, looking for the handouts all the time. They don't really, in Europe I'm talking about, they don't really go for free market enterprises like America was known for. And that's why we prosper, because we believe in the individual, believe in free markets, and we believe that making money was good. Making money is not evil. It can be used for evil, but it can be used for a lot of good too. Money should be looked at as something you get in order to make the world a better place. I mean, when you build a business, you're building a business supposedly to serve the public, to serve the people, not to take advantage. I mean, if you take advantage of people over and over again, you're not going to last in business too long, So even though monopolies grow up, and you have like the tech industry right now, which, they have too much power, and they make too much money for their own good. But generally speaking, and like I said, free market capital is not a perfect way to go, but it's better than anything else. It's the best we have. Everybody prospers if it's done correctly, and there's not too much overreach by the government. And that's the problem with the government right now. It's too much overreach. They want to control everything. They want to decide what kind of stove you have. They want to decide what kind of car you drive. They want to decide how you think. It got pretty fascist. So, in America, we haven't had to deal directly with the threat of communism and socialism, except from foreign shores, until now, recently, which is internal. We have an internal threat. Our biggest threat right now, some people say it's China. The biggest threat is internal. I mean, if we don't, I'm saying we, the conservatives, don't win the election coming up, if Trump doesn't get back in power, the country's probably finished, because then it'll be too late, because so much damage has been done by the left. Even if Trump gets in power, it's going to be very difficult to turn things around in order to save our civilization. It's very possible that, this is the fall of the United States of America. I mean, we had the rise, now this is the fall. It looks like, if you go by up to New York and some of those big cities and see all the crime. And so, you look back at our presidents. I mean, Kennedy was, of course, worshipped. And even though he was a Democrat, he was a great guy, and he was conservative in a lot of ways, he's thinking. And of course, we had Reagan, but we've had a lot of bad presidents, too, along the way. There's an article that came out recently, I was just looking at today, on Carter. I feel sorry for the guy. He's 99 years old, and he's got not too many days left. His wife's already passed away. But this comes from the Daily Caller, and it's written by Abraham Katzman, and it's entitled "Jimmy Carter's True Legacy is Disastrous Anti-Semitism." Jimmy Carter, even though a lot of people say, "Oh, a nice old man, he did a lot of humanitarian things after he left being president," he built Habitat for, what's it, Habitat? I don't know, Habitat for something. He's building habitats for the poor people. And you would see him out there, old and decrepit, with a hammer in his hand. Yeah, Habitat for Humanity, that's what it was. And so, people say, yeah, he's a righteous guy. But really, Jews were just very, very disappointed with him because turns out he was really a blatant anti-Semite. I guess he taught too many Sunday school classes where the Jews were the bad guys. But he did a lot to cause Iran under the Shah to fall. When Khomeini was in France for a while, and the Shah, even though he was king, right? So he wasn't really a Democrat, but he was more or less pro-American, and people sort of prospered under his reign. I think he was a benevolent dictator, although he didn't like his enemies too much. I'm sure he got rid of a lot of his enemies, but as it was, he was nice to America. He was nice to Israel, and people were more or less happy under his reign, except for the Islamists. And, there were demonstrations, of course, against his rule by the Islamists, by the fanatics, and Carter supported them. And he allowed Khomeini to, even though the Shah had the army on his side, he neutralized the army somehow and allowed Khomeini to come in power. And, of course, the Shah left power. He was abrogated, and Khomeini came in, and the whole country changed overnight. And we had the hostages situation. Remember all the hostages being captured, and finally they were released after a long period of time. But that was tragic. That country. I mean, I know a lot of Persians who fled Iran and now live here, but they may have some family still there. But they're horrified by what might happen to their kinfolk over there. Even though I think a lot of my friends are Jewish, so they have Jewish people there. There's still some Jews in Iran, and sort of left alone more or less. I can't understand how, but it seems like as long as they don't speak up, as long as they're quiet and hide, they won't get killed. But it started really. Carter really started the whole issue with the Muslims. And that's why we are suffering so much now. Of course, Obama helped a lot as well, because Obama was also a lover of Islam and the Islamists. Carter got a lot of money from Arab countries. You can look at his, I'm here in Atlanta, you can look at his library, which is here in Atlanta, and you can see how all the names on the walls are from Arab countries, a lot of them anyway. So he was very friendly with the Arabs, very friendly with the PLO, very friendly with Hamas. And he hated the Jews. Like I said, I think he really took it literally when he takes in his Sunday school class that the Jews killed Jesus and they were, the worst kind of people, Mel Gibson would probably agree as well to see his bloody movies. But yeah, unfortunately, and he caused Iran under the mullahs to grow and prosper and be the problem that they are today. And of course, like I said, Obama came, and now Biden. We're all anti-Semitic, and they're all supporting the downfall of Israel. So we've had good presidents, we had bad presidents, we've had unbiased presidents and very biased presidents. unfortunately, the good presidents don't stay in power enough. We have, at least in the last, I don't know, ever since after the war. I mean, the presidents after the war were pretty good. I mean, you had Eisenhower and Truman, and a couple other guys. They were fairly good presidents, and of course Reagan and Kennedy before Reagan were good presidents. The Bushes were so-so. They really didn't have to go into Iran, but that was a war machine doing that. Dick Cheney and company making millions off of the military complex. They should have really gone to Iran, but they went to Iraq. Did I say Iran? I mean, they went into Iraq, didn't they? And got, and destroyed that regime when they really should have gone to Iran after 9/11. And then we had Trump, for one term, and he did knock down ISIS, and people didn't act out much in the Middle East. People didn't act that much anywhere because he kept them at bay because he had a strong hand. But with the appeasers, we get all the BS. We get all the pain. But I hope it changes. I mean, you see Hunter's was in court today, and he got convicted. And I don't know if he'll go to jail over that, but he has other issues, tax issues. So Mr. Hunter Biden is in trouble. Maybe the whole Biden family is in trouble. I mean, a lot of people, even on the Democratic side, are looking at Joe Biden and says, "There's no way this guy can be president." Trump, I think, is gaining more and more power. Will he go to jail? He might go to jail. Will he be running his campaign from Rikers Island? Who knows? Will he be in house arrest? We shall see. But definitely, there's no justice when it comes to Trump. And, the DOJ. I had Garland in front of Congress the other day, and he was hiding, making excuses. They're all in cahoots. It's all political to go after their opponent. And, Pelosi, too. I saw that. That came out with a video of her on January the 6th. She was in a car. I think her daughter takes pictures of her, was taking pictures of her. She was sort of like an amateur photographer or something, and she was taking a video on her phone. And Pelosi admitted that she should have called the National Guard, that she had, she made a mistake. Yeah, she made a big mistake. But she would never have said it publicly, of course. She would never say it publicly, of course. Anyway, even though she admitted, I think she was hoping it would hurt Trump. And of course, they had the January 6th Commission, which was totally kangaroo court, and all these people now in jail on political prisoners, like Trump. Trump calls himself a political prisoner. There's so many political prisoners in this country now. It's like a banana public. I could go on and on, which I usually do on this podcast, but I'm not going on for too much further because I don't like to get over 20 minutes, and already I'm at 18, almost 19 minutes. But hope you have a good rest of the week. I'm going to take off. It's a Jewish holiday, Shavuos, tomorrow and the next day, when we're celebrating receiving the Torah. So I'm going to be celebrating that, because that was a big event, a tremendous event where God gave us the blueprint. Too bad so many people don't want to look at it anymore. So this is Robert Jeter Show, Blues in the News. I'll see you next time. Just remember love and peace. And hate is the enemy, people. Hate is the enemy. So I play a little Highway Redemption, a little tune I wrote. And we should all be looking for redemption and hope the world turns around for the better soon. Love you all. Take care.
I can feel the highway under my seat. Hey, summer's burning, I can feel the heat. Yeah, my dash is warm, but my top is down. Got my pedal to the metal for higher ground. When I get to the crossroads, I won't have to follow the lies, no. I'll have the four angels. Step inside, take a ride to the other side. Yeah, broke down in Tennessee. Get back to Georgia seemed the death of me. But I was found by Elijah's hand. No promise of Baal would ruin his plan. There on that highway I was blinded by the light. Said the salvation was up ahead inside. Knew it was bright, shining through the night. I'm on the highway of redemption. There's no speed limit where I'm bound. I'm on a road that has no wind. But before it's too late, you should get your soul in shape. Still got room inside my car if you want to fly to the other side. Let's fly. By the light, said salvation was up ahead inside. Knew it was right, shining through the night. I'm on the highway of redemption. There's no speed limit where I'm bound. I'm on a road that has no end. Before it's too late, you should get your soul in shape. Still got room inside my car if you want to fly